You know what's funny about The Dark Knight Rises? People argue about the plane hijacking, they argue about the pit, and they argue about Bane's voice sounding like a villainous Peppa Pig. But almost nobody talks about the scene that actually matters. No Batman suit, no gadgets, just an old man, a broken billionaire, and a staircase. And somehow, it hits harder than anything else in the trilogy. This is the moment Alfred leaves Bruce Wayne, and it's one of the most quietly devastating scenes Nolan has ever written. First thing to understand, this scene isn't placed here by accident. It happens early, before big threats, and before Bruce puts the cowl back on. Because narratively, this isn't about Bane, it's about Bruce's refusal to move on. The stairwell matters because staircases are transitional spaces. They exist between floors, not destinations, not resting places, which is exactly where Bruce is emotionally. He's not Batman anymore, and he's not Bruce Wayne either. He's stuck between identities, and the movie puts confrontation right there. That's not flashy symbolism, that's competent screenwriting. This scene hinges on one of the most oldest narrative tropes in storytelling. The caretaker who realizes staying is doing more harm than leaving. Alfred isn't just a butler, he's a surrogate father, a medic, a moral anchor, and that's the problem. Bruce doesn't heal because Alfred keeps catching him when he falls. Alfred says it outright. I won't bury you.
But no more. I've sewn you up, I've set your bones, but I won't bury you. I've buried enough members of the Wayne family.
That line isn't emotional manipulation, it's boundary setting. For the first time in the trilogy, Alfred chooses himself, and that's why it hurts. And here's where the scene quietly detonates. Alfred admits he burned Rachel's letter. That's a nuclear core of the moment. Because this isn't just a lie, it's a protective lie, one of the most morally complex tropes in fiction. Alfred believed that Bruce couldn't survive the truth, and Batman needed Bruce broken but functional. Hope was better than honesty, and maybe he was right there. But here's the twist, it's that the lie worked too well. Bruce didn't heal, he froze up, and hope became stagnation. Rachel isn't a character in this scene, she's a ghost. Bruce didn't love Rachel the person anymore, he loved what she represented. A life without Batman, a future where the war ends, and a version of himself that never existed. That's textbook narrative psychology. Bruce isn't grieving Rachel, he's grieving the idea of being done, and Alfred sees that. Now comes the line that turns the knife. Alfred describes his dream, seeing Bruce alive, happy, anonymous, sitting in a cafe in Florence. No dialogue, no reunion, just eye contact and relief. This is important because it's the inverse of Bruce's fantasy. Bruce wants purpose, redemption through sacrifice, and meaning through pain. But Alfred wants survival, peace, and oblivion. Neither is wrong, but they are incompatible together. And here's where The Dark Knight Rises earns this ending retroactively. Alfred leaving isn't abandonment. It's the mentor removing the safety net. Batman's stories always pretend Bruce is self-made. He isn't. Alfred patches him up, covers his tracks, and gives him moral framing. Without Alfred, Bruce has no emotional armor. And that's the point. You can't complete a hero's journey while someone else is cushioning every fall. And the scene works because of Restraint. There's no swelling music, no shouting, and no melodrama. Michael Caine plays Alfred like a man who's already mourned Bruce once, and refuses to do it again. Christian Bale doesn't let out a tear, he hardens. Because Bruce Wayne's defense mechanism isn't tears, it's withdrawal. That's consistent character writing, and it's rare these days. People say The Dark Knight is messy. It's structurally insane, tonally sometimes messy, but emotionally it's laser focused. This scene establishes Bruce's central flaw, emotional paralysis, and Alfred's arc, choosing life over loyalty, and it also exposes the film's thesis. Meaning doesn't come from suffering alone. Every later moment, the pit, the sacrifice, and the ending echoes this conversation. Without Alfred leaving, Bruce never truly falls. The pit means nothing, and the ending is unearned. And let's address the controversial part. Bruce survives. Alfred sees him in Florence, and people hated this. They wanted the martyr, but narratively, the scene earns that ending, because Alfred already accepted Bruce's death emotionally on that stairwell. The cafe scene isn't a twist. It's a release of tension that's been sitting there for 2 hours. That look Alfred gives him? That's a closure. Not triumph, not victory, but peace. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This scene wouldn't survive a modern studio notes process. It's too quiet, too patient, and too emotionally adult. Someone would say, can we add a joke? Can Bruce punch something? And can Alfred explain the theme out loud? And it would die. Because this scene trusts the audience, and it assumes you to understand that grief isn't loud. The Dark Knight trilogy isn't perfect, but this scene, this is Nolan firing on all cylinders. No spectacle, no gimmicks, just character, theme, and restraint. And that stairwell conversation does more for Bruce Wayne than any punch ever could. Sometimes the bravest thing a hero can do is survive, and sometimes the bravest thing a mentor can do is walk away. Anyway guys, I'll see you on the next one.